Welcome to another interview presented by Alabama Wrestling Forums. I'm Jackson Bass. We're here with our first edition of Senior Talk with Taylor Foster, fifth place finisher at the state tournament in 7A. How you doing today, man?
I'm pretty good, man. How about you?
I can't complain. So first thing I'm going to ask you is, what got you into wrestling?
I got bullied a lot in middle school. I went to Bay Minette Middle School, and I had just moved from Daphne, actually. I moved from Daphne to Bay Minette. We moved schools just because we got a new house. And within a span of 2 months, I had 3 different head injuries from 3 different kids. I got jumped in a bathroom. I got a kid threw a piece of metal on my head and cracked it open. And then I also just got beat up in a gym. So after that, the principal of Bay Minette Middle School told me, "Hey, you want to go back to Daphne?" And I said, "Absolutely. Get me out of here." And there was a sign-up sheet on a wall when first week I was back in Daphne saying tryouts for Daphne wrestling. I was like, "Oh, I'll give that a try." Learn to defend myself. So it was all about defending myself at first.
So obviously, when you started at Daphne, your coach was Coach Miller. What were some of the things that Coach Miller was able to teach you when you started out in the sport? What were some of the key fundamentals he was able to get into your brain?
Well, some of the first stuff, the thing about Scott Miller is the fact that he's still an active competitor to this day. So he was just, main thing is the experience on the mat is just getting ready for the actual match. He was great with technique overall, but it was just him knowing that he's also an active competitor. He could relate to us on that level. It was a really great experience with Scott Miller.
So you've been wrestling since your 7th grade year. What were some big things that you were able to learn when you started out? Because obviously, probably like a year or 2 before you even got into wrestling, Baldwin County had no wrestling. So you were kind of part of this explosion that happened in that area. What was that kind of like?
Well, it was just, so the year I started was Daphne's first year at all. And before that, it was just Gulf Shores and Foley. So it was super crazy to be a part of that selective group of like the original Baldwin County wrestlers. And it was just like, we were all coming up together. It was all kind of just like, we've all known each other like this last year, seeing all these faces of all these seniors and juniors that I've known for half a decade now. Just us all coming up together and kind of building a name for South Alabama wrestling. It was just a surreal feeling to know that I was a ambassador for the sport down here.
Now I'm going to ask you this question because I've asked 2 coaches and they can't give me a straight answer. Do you know what kind of caused the explosion that occurred when all these teams were able to pop up out of nowhere?
I would say Justin Ingram, when he for Spanish Fort won the first ever state title for Baldwin County as a whole. When Justin Ingram, who was the assistant coach of mine a year ago, when he won that state title for Spanish Fort, he kind of just put us all on the map, just to let everyone know, all of the teams up north, Huntsville, Hoover, Thompson, hey, we are here. We are serious. Take us seriously. We're a threat. When that happened, things took off. We had guys like Gage Hudson, Win State, who I'm about to be teammates with at the end of the summer. It was just a surreal feeling to know that that was when we kind of took off as a whole. But then there was Gulf Shores. You could also say when them as a team placed third at team state. So, but I would have to say Justin Ingram. Justin Ingram put us all on the map.
Now, I actually did not know that Justin was your guys' assistant coach. What were some of the things you were able to pick up from Justin Ingram? Obviously, he's a 2-time state champ. He wrestled at Clarion, he's a big name, of course, in Baldwin County. What were you able to
Yeah.
pick up from him?
Just picking his brain was an absolute pleasure. He's an Energizer bunny to this day. Just speed and consistency. Just speed and consistency. He was our running practices with him. The cardio at the very end was absolute torture. It's made me realize that he's a true psychopath when it comes to all that stuff. If you see Justin Ingram warm up, he's doing 360 handstand roundhouse, all this crazy stuff, and he still does it to this day. Like, it's just the consistency that he's also able to do it. Is his cardio, his energy level, his technique wise, like, is also off the charts. But I'd say the conditioning by far, Justin Ingram.
That's actually kind of insane. So, you qualified for state prior, your junior year. What was that, feeling like you're able to finally break through and qualify for the state tournament?
It was the best feeling in the world. Best feeling in the world. Because a lot of people, some people might remember, but my sophomore year, I was poised to also go to state. But halfway through the season, I fractured my L5, the bottom of my back. I had broken my back at a tournament in Huntsville, and that put me on the shelf for 8 months. And to have a comeback story like that, to get the win, to know that I'm qualifying for state, to know that I'm in that elite level in Alabama State Wrestling, it was just such a surreal feeling. It was the best thing in the world. I will never forget that. And then of course, getting eliminated. Getting eliminated was even an honor, because it was against my big time rival that season, Jordan McLaughlin from Robertsdale. We had wrestled 4 times that year, and now we're 2-2. I'm hoping to wrestle him one day again, but he's in the Marines now. So, but going to state was absolutely surreal. It was a great feeling. It was a great comeback story, in my opinion. Just to come back from a broken back to now he's at state. This kid wasn't even a consideration beforehand. Now he's an elite level wrestler.
That's insane. I mean, I know plenty of kids who they'll break their back, or they'll have even like a less injury and they'll stop. But to be able to come back and achieve your goal that season, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a lot of people, including my doctors, thought that after I broke my back, that there was a mental blockade. And I explained to them, I was like, no, I need this. I need to show everybody, because my very first year, there was only 3 people in my weight class, and I lost to, and I was one of them, and I lost to the other 2. Second year, I was even worse. My freshman year, I went to sectionals. I lost to Gage Hudson when he won state, and then I lost to a kid from Oxford. I was never shown progress. And then to have my sophomore year end like that, which I feel like that was one of my best seasons at that point. I was going 2 months straight undefeated. And then, but I had to. It was something that I had to prove to myself that I could do this.
So obviously this year was kind of a weird year and all, but even weirder for Daphne. I mean, what was your immediate reaction when you guys heard the news that you guys are moving up to 7A?
Well, so we found out as a team, Daphne High School's wrestling year this year was the craziest by far, but finding out that we were going to 7A was also crazy. It was the mere fact that we were in school, we were in class when we found out, and everyone was worried, oh, what's the football team going to do now? Which they did absolutely phenomenal this year in football. But I'm just sitting here like, okay, now we got to wrestle Hoover and Thompson. This is going to suck. Like, this is going to absolutely suck. These people got big heads for their seats at state. Like, why are we matched with them? We had 12 people at the end of the year last year. Which was also a fun fight. And then we lost 7 seniors in total, technically. And it was just like crazy. Mm-hmm. I was just like, dang, that sucks.
Now, another big thing was you lose your longtime head coach, Coach Miller, and you end up getting Coach Jeffcoat. Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys were aware who Coach Jeffcoat was at that time.
That's another crazy story. So I was actually working when I found out that Scott was going to take a step down, and now he's running the kids program. And I'm hoping that when my little sister gets old enough and big enough, that she'll start to train with him and then go up to Jeffcoat. But I don't know if Jeffcoat's going to be around that long, because he has been around the sport for such a long time. Mm-hmm. But I was at work and I got a text in the group chat, the Daphne High School group chat, saying Scott Miller stepping down. We have a guy named Greg Jeffcoat who's going to be our head coach. I'm like, wait, what? Who's he? And I was actually at an all-time low, because I was loyal to Scott. I was absolutely loyal to Scott. Still am. I still text him all the time. But I was contemplating leaving and just going into jiu-jitsu. But I was like, I want to meet him. I want to meet Jeffcoat. And however our first conversation goes is going to determine whether or not I continue to wrestle for my senior year. First conversation with Jeffcoat. He's instantly tinkering with my techniques. I'm like, okay, I like this guy. He immediately was straight wrestling. It wasn't like, hi, I'm Jeffcoat. It was, hey, listen to me. It's like, I know how great I am. Listen to me. It was like crazy, absolutely insane. And Jeffcoat's also a tank in real life.
He's a big guy.
He's a very big guy.
But
everyone's terrified of him.
Wow. So this year, we talked about how it was great that you guys were part of the elite company when you got to finally make it to state your junior year. But this year you pushed through another barrier and you finally placed the state. You were Daphne's sole placer.
Yeah. Yes.
Which shocked
everyone, because everyone thought that if someone was going to be the only sole placer, they thought it was going to be Ethan Lasser. Mm-hmm. Because he was going in and he was going ranked number 1. And everyone's like, okay, well, this old head senior, he's all right. Mm-hmm. he might get a win and then sure. But it was, to be Daphne's sole placer, it was I wouldn't say it was an honor, because we went in with a lot of kids that were going through their first year. Ethan Curry was one, Colton Rayner, Tyler Durant. They were all first year wrestlers. First time stepping on the mat. Tyler Durant started halfway through the year. So I wouldn't say it was an honor, because there was a lot of people that I feel like will do even better next year. It was a feeling. Also, if you see a match against a kid from Spain Park, William Ray, I to this day feel like I beat him. So I feel like I had him pinned in one of our in a match to go for third place, but ref didn't call the pin, and then he He hip tossed me, but it was, I mean, it was a great feeling overall. But I was more worried about my team, just because those are kids that I've watched grow up since they were 12.
What kind of legacy do you hope that you left behind at Daphne?
Leadership, straightforward leadership. I was never about, hey, be a state placer, be a state champ. I was about having good character. That was one thing. I didn't never treat any of the middle schoolers like they were middle schoolers. I didn't treat any of the juniors like they were juniors. I treated everyone like they were my teammates. And I was the only senior on the team, and I had every right to assert my dominance and all that jazz. But it's like, hey, fresh meat. But no, I didn't. This is the future of the program, and I tried my hardest. Jeffcoat, on the first day, he told us, grab 5 people and learn 10 things about them. I took that a step forward and I learned the names of every single kid, which there was 70 kids. I learned every single name. And I, to this day, have a close relationship with all of them, I'd like to say. And I was just having a stronger relationship past wrestling and past high school, past middle school, past college. I want to have a relationship with these people well past any of all my heyday and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. It was just building a closer bond beyond wrestling, and that's what I think wrestling's all about, building a bond that's past that.
What did it mean for the program that, the first year we ever have girls state, you guys won it?
I was there too. I don't know if anyone remembers, but I was there. I told all the girls when I found out, I was like, I'm going. And I drove 3 hours to Hoover to watch them. And in some pictures, you can see me in the background crying for them. And I have pictures on my phone that of I was sitting at the corner. I was just crying my eyes out, just so proud, because all these girls, actually just yesterday I was hanging out with like over half of them who were all just bowling, and I was just so proud of them. It was the proudest moment because they call me the dad of the group. I'm the dad of the team. Mm-hmm. I felt like a proud father because the amount of work that they put in, and there was not even half the amount that Thompson had. And we had our first 6 matches were all losses in that tournament. For us to come back and win it and have 2 state champions in their weight class, Kaylee Holder and Emily Sasser, it was the most proud I've ever felt by far, because of the amount of work they've put in. They didn't see themselves as the girls' team. They saw themselves as a part of the team, and they worked just as well with each other as they did with us, with the males. They busted their tails, and it was just such a proud moment. I was decked out in all Daphne gear, but I was never. I helped Emily Sasser warm up for her 2 matches. I was an assistant coach basically at that point, but it was one of the proudest moments I've ever had as a leader, as a father figure to some of these kids. It was just one of the most emotional days I've ever had.
So you decided that you're going to take your wrestling to the next level at the University of Cumberland's. So why the University of Cumberland's?
I wasn't even supposed to wrestle in college at the beginning of the year. I had nobody looking at me. And when Jeffcoat came in, he saw we were practicing. He looked at me. He was like, "What's your ACT scores?" And I told him, and he was like, "Okay, you're going to retake it again. You're going to do a lot better. I'm going to talk to some colleges." I'm like, "Okay." He said, "If you wrestle the way you do in practice, you will wrestle in college." I started taking that seriously. But then this is a whole story of what led me to Cumberland's. I lost to a Spanish Fork guy, and I was just down in the dumps. And coach brought me over. He told me, he's like, "Hey, look at this computer real quick." And it showed that I was ranked number 4 in the state. And he was like, "Now start acting like it." And after that, I just did, and I didn't lose a single match for a long time. And I took myself very seriously. And when that happened, I got people started asking questions. I also had another option named Everett University. It's in Virginia. They sent me a letter, and they're like, "Hey, we're interested." And my coach didn't even know about that. Jeffcoat didn't know a single thing about that. So they reached out to me. Coach didn't recruit me for them. They wanted me. So I was very honored. I'm like, I'll probably go to Everett because they wanted me. And they didn't, my coach didn't have to ask. But after that, I tried texting them and calling them. They weren't taking it seriously. They were like a 5-year program, and they just weren't taking me as seriously as I would have enjoyed. So he was like, "Okay, well, I know a place that would be perfect for you. It's called the Cumberlands. It's a nice place. I almost transferred there. Check it out."
Mm-hmm.
And I met the coach who's now going to be the coach of Saraland Wrestling. And I fell in love with everything about it. I'm actually wearing a Cumberland shirt right now. But college was not, I was supposed to go to a local 2-year community college down here online. And the whole goal was just stay down here, stay intact with Daphne Wrestling, and, go on from there. But then I started actually taking myself as seriously as I should have. And then the offers started rolling in. And they're the people that took me the most seriously, so I chose them.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today, Taylor. Is there anything you want to say to my viewers before I let you go?
Shout out to Daphne High School Wrestling. They built me up to who I am today. And thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor and pleasure.
The pleasure's all mine. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you all you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay cool, Alabama Wrestling.